And Jenna's in the house. We're so lucky. And we're so happy to be together. And this is going to distract me. I love him, but there's like a little... Okay, it's just us for now. It's just us girls.
That's so nice.
And we are going to talk about, Jenna does human design readings, and I've been hearing you do them. I can hear that they're...
Have you?
I can hear your voice, and I'm like, she's on it. I can just feel the energy of it.
Because we're neighbors right now. I'm literally staying in her apartment next door, and the walls are really thin. So we're like, it's like being a boarding school or something. Like,
it is.
We're sneaking into each other's rooms
across
at the back.
the hallway and like
through the back passageways and stuff. It's so fun.
It's really cute. So Jenna does amazing human design readings. Human design is a way to tell who you are as a person, who you came in to be. It's a science, it's an art, it's a combination of the I Ching, astrology, and the Kabbalah, and it's fairly new information. It's old information that's fairly newly downloaded. Jenna downloads it beautifully. She has an unbelievable understanding of human design and a gorgeous way of telling people how they can use it to make their lives better. So we have been wanting to talk about a lot of things. One of them, which really is amazing, on your Instagram one day, you posted how projectors might want to eat. And I was like, that's me, that's me. And oh my gosh, since I've been in a relationship and my boyfriend's a manifestor, I was kind of, because I'm so sensitive, I guess, and I kind of go towards how he eats, and I kind of put on a little bit of weight. I mean, not an enormous amount, but like not feeling like myself, like what I normally do.
Like not in your groove of like the way you like to eat.
Yeah, your post is amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So Jenna's going to share with us, we're so lucky, she's going to share how the different personality types can eat.
Right.
Yes? Okay.
And it's really interesting because when you talk about someone's energy type, what that means is it's not everything, but it's like the overview. So let's say, for example, if you're a generator, there's tons of different types of generators, but what they all have in common is the way they should exchange energy with the world around you. And obviously, one of the most common...
Okay, talk a little slower because they might not understand.
Oh, yes.
So a generator, they're not all the same.
They're
we're
not
all not the same. Like, we're projectors and we're not the same.
Yes.
But a generator, the way in which they interact in the world is the same.
Should be the same.
Should be the same.
So if you think about it, one of the most concrete ways that you interact with the world around you is food.
Yeah.
Because you take in information, or you take in thoughts or someone's words, those are all kind of like not concrete things. But if you think about what's the most solid input that you can put into your aura that's going to change your aura, it's food.
Well put.
So it's so important to get that
done
right
all the time.
Yeah.
It's something that you have to think about or not think about, or something you do all the time. We have to fuel ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And so each type has a way that is really healthy for them to, fuel themselves. Because if you have your energy system, think about it like an electrical wiring, right? You have to put the fuel in that electrical wiring for the wiring to flow properly.
Yes.
So I often say to people when we talk about human design and diet, the only cleanse you need is an information cleanse. And I recommend that anybody do this.
That's lovely.
Is not to look up this healthy website and that health conference and what this guru says and what that guru says.
Stop.
That's the cleanse that we all need, is the information cleanse.
It's so true. I think that, and sometimes, and those are the best things that we're looking at, but they can be overwhelming. It can becomes too much. Like, stop, center into yourself and find out. Plus, I also think that along with food, and this is off topic, but along with food, other people's words can be like food. They can come into your aura and kind of lodge themselves even longer than it takes to digest something weird like McDonald's.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So the information cleanse goes with that.
100%.
Okay, so that's cool.
And even if it's like the best intended, advice, it just might be, even if the person is saying eat quinoa and kale, it doesn't matter if the way that you're doing it is just not healthy for your system. It can be unhealthy.
Like the way you're eating, the times you're eating, how you're eating, the intention around what you're eating. So it's not just the food. This is really key. What Jenna's saying is that it's timing. It's the amount is different.
It's everything. The whole ritual around food and eating and who's around, who's not around.
Okay.
There's a subsection of human design that's called the perfect health system that basically says that, even small things like the temperature of your food should vary, and certain people are better off eating at nighttime, or certain people should be eating before, all day before the sun goes down. And
that's so cool. And wouldn't that be nice to know? So once again, human design gives you permission granted to be who you are. And like, oh, that's why I like to eat at night, or that's why this, or and somebody else said that's really bad. Don't do that.
Yeah, like midnight snacking, eating before bed is terrible for you.
What projector type? I'm like, what projector type does that? What type is good for?
So the nighttime eating is actually not dependent on your energy type. It will be something that shows up in your chart. But obviously you can look up the specifics of the way that your chart works. And some people, it doesn't matter when they eat as long as they're eating in silence, or it doesn't matter how loud it is when they eat as long as they're eating in certain times of the day or whatever.
Isn't that
so
cool?
It's really interesting. And I was listening to a lecture that Ra Uru, who's the founder of Human Design, once said, like, if you're someone who's only meant to eat hot things, then cold breast milk could be the worst thing for you as a baby. And maybe that's why you're rejecting your mother's milk, and people are thinking it's because of you have a problem latching on, but maybe if you're not supposed to have
cold or
whatever it is.
Hopefully it's not cold.
I know, hopefully it's
hopefully but yeah, like just wow,
there's
that's
so many variables. Yeah.
So what do people look for?
So what they should look for, I think the first thing is to look for your energy type, because that will tell you like the main way that you should be eating.
So there's 5 energy types?
5 energy types.
Okay.
So I guess, should we start with generators?
Sure.
Okay, so generators, like everything else in their life, are supposed to be making decisions based on what their gut wants.
Okay.
So the whole thing, food or not food, the whole way that you should be kind of like aligning yourself with your divine timing and becoming your highest self is all about honoring the fact that the gut knows better than the brain. Remember, what we're trying to do here with the eating is we're trying to get out of our minds, out of how we over-intellectualize food much, and into our bodies.
Oh, that's why the information cleanse, because everyone's telling us, eat this, don't eat that at all. Eat only this. Oh my God, yeah, now I know what you mean. Okay, go ahead.
So,
wait, shit. Oops, sorry. I don't know what happened. Yeah, we are.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're good. I was like, okay, we're good.
So, so we're trying to get out of the head and into the body, and what the body's telling us all the time.
Okay.
And we would just really be much happier people if we just lived in our bodies. And think about embodiment of power in body.
Right.
Not enmindment of power. It's
not
embodiment.
Right. It's embodiment, empowerment. It's not enheadment.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
that's cool.
So with generators, because the sacral is the thing that's speaking to them all the time about what it is that they desire, then, with food, if something doesn't appeal to you, you should be thinking about what it is that your gut wants in any given moment, right? So instead of, let's say, making yourself eat a certain way or go on a certain diet, if it's not appealing to you, it's probably not the right thing. Because the gut in a generator is trying to tell it what to do in any given moment. Right. If only the generator will listen. And if only the generator will say, my preferences are enough for me to make a decision. Right. Like, it's not about what I should be doing or what other people want me to do or what societal norms are, but what is my gut actually telling me? Like, do I fancy having breakfast right now? Do I feel like eating eggs, or does that not appeal to me today?
Right. Wow.
It's so simple, but yet we overcomplicate it
and
so
yet we've
much.
heard breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and some people aren't supposed to eat it, and we hear all of these things like, oh, now you gotta have lots of eggs and no carbs, and before, a minute ago, it was all carbs, and so your head can get in the way.
And I think most people are afraid that if they listen to their gut.
Okay, we're back, you guys. We had streaming trouble, but we persevered, and we are together now with you. Where were we?
So generators. So you were saying about how it's really nice when people love themselves because they allow themselves to have a bit of this and a bit of that.
Yeah.
And generators kind of know when, like, how much is enough for them if they tune in. If they really pay attention, they have this inbuilt ability to say, like, this is a good dose. Like, I'm done with my ice cream now. Like, I've had enough. Like, I'm no longer, like, a next bite is not going to satiate me anymore or kind of do something for me. So it's okay. You know what I mean? So you know, if the thing that you've been forbidding yourself from having in your whole entire life is ice cream, then you know, allow yourself to have it once, get over it. Or if that's too scary, just allow yourself to think about whatever else appeals. Like, what kind of healthy food sounds good to you, and don't force yourself to have, you know, bulletproof coffee just because that's what everybody else is having. If you don't get that gut response of like that kind of like sitting up a little bit higher in your chair and feeling excited to have it, and like, yes, I want that, and like, my mouth is salivating for it.
Oh, you generators, you should have salivation and excitement about it, and then in doing so, you won't overdo it.
Yeah, exactly. But then having something that you feel like you have to have and not feeling excited about it, there's a reason why your body... And this is what I always try to get through to generators, is that the lack of excitement isn't just this random thing. The lack of excitement is the universe trying to say, no, go this way, try and do that, do this instead. Like,
and who knows for what reason?
For what reason?
You might need to meet somebody at the ice cream store.
Yeah.
Or you need, you know, there may be an opportunity waiting for you, or some kind of an idea that will happen when you have a certain flavor or something. Or who knows?
There's so much, it's all so intertwined. So it's about kind of like understanding that the gut is always trying to lead you the right way, if only we're brave enough to follow.
Right.
So that's the main thing with generators. And you know, as long as they are correctly tapping into how much they need and what their appetite is telling them, that's when they'll never need to overeat and never kind of you know, eat the wrong things or force themselves to be on this diet plan. The worst thing for generators is to feel like they have to kind of constantly do the same thing, because that removes their power of like their preference or their choice.
Right.
So they're like, what's my gut telling me that I want today, or what sounds good to me today?
And that probably can feed you to just do that act of what does my gut want me to eat, will be, since food happens all the time, it will be great practice to practice that, because it will parlay itself into who should I hang out with, what should I do, which job should I take.
100%.
So it's like a constant practice. I want to get my drink.
And
keep going.
The way that I tell people to kind of like tune into the sacral chakra, their gut, for generators, the way that I tell them to tune in is that the gut doesn't really understand gray areas. So the worst thing to do with the gut is to ask it open-ended questions like, what should I eat today? That's a really difficult question, because the gut doesn't know how to give you an answer that's specific. But what you can say to the gut is, do you like this? Whoa, there's a weird energy vortex going on here today. What's with that?
We got like into, wow.
That's so weird.
It's so funny. We're having like, people want to be with us. There's some kind of stuff going on.
Okay. So it's basically like, you want to ask your gut, like, do I want to have this tea, yes or no? Do I feel like
you don't say like, what should I eat today? It's more like, oh, do I want this tea or this tea, or okay, got it.
Because the gut only understands gray areas, so it's kind of like, oh, how funny, they're logged in as soon as she.
Yeah,
so
that was funny.
Exactly. So it's like, does this sound good to me? Yes or no? Do I want to go to this coffee shop? Yes or no? Do I like to eat this thing? Yes or no? Does this sound delicious to me? So it's very much like the gut understands black and white, because it's so primitive and guttural and physical, that it's like you will literally get a physical response to something or not. And so that's the thing that you want to start to pay attention to, instead of like, what's the healthiest way for me to eat today, or like, what's the way that I need to lose weight today, or whatever it is. That question that you
like. So specifics, generators, you're going specific. Okay, very cool.
And like, you know,
is there any, so to find the time for each of the, like what time is good to eat, or how much or how little, like I know projectors in particular, and we'll get to that, eat little bit throughout the day. The time that you were talking about, that interests me, like, is it, what do you look for?
So you look for it's a combination of different things, but if you do have your chart in front of you, if you can look at the first two arrows, the two to the left of the chart, and you look at the way that they point. So it's really, it's not actually the inside of the chart, there's the red arrows, exactly.
Okay, so which way they point. So if they point to the left?
If they both point to the left, then you're someone who does really well with consistent eating. So that means like, if you figure out that you're someone who is like 3 square meals a day, or 5 meals a day, or 2 big meals, or you fast, then you stick to that.
Yeah, we gotta, well, I don't have stuff open. But
so if you have those, those two pointing to the left, that means that you do really well on like the same plan every day. You're not someone who does like, oh, one day I'll have brunch, and then the next day I'll have like 5
So
meals, and then the next
interesting.
day it's like you have to like
Aren't you
figure out
guys
what works for you and
curious?
do
Like,
the same
I'm
thing.
so curious.
So if you have both of those pointing to the left, it means like routine, structure, makes you
Okay.
feel really good.
Okay, cool.
And once you do that, you have it on lockdown. You don't have to think about it anymore. The only question you have to ask yourself is what you actually feel like eating.
Right,
at those
because
times.
you might have heard somebody like me or somebody else saying, like, I've heard other people, not me, but I've heard other people say variety is so important. You have to have variety. And then I've heard other people say, I could eat the same thing every day, all day, every day. I get hooked into things. That's kind of what I do, is I get hooked into something. I love it. I'll have it every day until I'm not having it
Me too.
anymore.
I go through
So
massive
what do you
phases.
have? Left arrows, right arrows? What's
I
yours?
have one to the left and one to the right.
So what does that mean?
So the top one to the left versus the bottom one to the right basically means that so the right one is to do with the environment in which you take in food. The bottom one is to do with the way in which you take in food. And the top one is like the consistency of how often you eat.
Okay.
So for me, it's good to kind of like eat around the same kind of times every day, the same basic structure, but my environment in which I eat affects me so much, so I have to be really careful about maybe eating around people that feel stressed, because if I'm even eating the healthiest thing on the planet but I'm eating it around stressful people, then that's going to affect me.
It so affects me.
So
I
you'll
have to have
probably have
the
the
same
same thing.
arrow, because like when someone's stressed around me, I feel like I have to like move my plate. Like I need to pick up my plate and leave the table. It's really awkward.
Yeah.
It's really awkward. What do you do?
Whereas, sometimes, my sister has it too in a major way, and what I advise her to do is just to sit there and wait and let the kind of thing settle, and she's really good at just like not eating now. People will be like, why are you not eating? And she's like, I'm just not hungry yet. I'm going to,
Take my time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wait until you're done.
But because she's manifested, everyone else is like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be eating either. Like, what's up? Like, what's wrong? Like,
That's so funny. That is so funny.
Yeah. So it's really
I'm curious
interesting.
now to look at mine, what it is, and I want to show them, if we can show them a screen on my computer, what the arrows look like. Do you want to grab my computer?
Yeah.
So now we've covered generators.
So
What's the next
generators,
one?
Manifesting generators.
Okay.
So manifesting generators, it's the same similar thing with following your gut about what sounds good to you in any given moment, but manifesting generators are much more prone to changing their minds about what they're into at any given moment. So they'll be much more phasey than generators.
Phasey,
like going through phases of like, I'm a snacker now, and then the next minute I'm not a snacker at all, right? So it's not about figuring out what only sounds good to you, but also like just going with whatever like costume you feel like trying on, whatever eater you feel like being in any given moment. It's like
they
you
can do
change.
different businesses. They can have different businesses, try different things. They have the energy to do so. So they can eat whatever they want, right? Pretty much.
But it's like one day you can like try not to label yourself as being the keto person or the fasting person or the whatever, like, because you'll be the fasting person for a while, and then you'll just one day wake up and not be the fasting person. So that's really interesting for manifesting generators. The other thing about manifesting generators, which I cannot stress enough, is that they have really fast metabolisms compared to the rest of us. So the worst thing, especially as women manifesting generators often think that they should only eat this much, or we could only be eating like one piece of fish and then vegetables for dinner or something, or whatever it is that the us weeklies and the peoples tell you to, the way they tell you to eat. But manifesting generators, because they have such a big energy, it's like, imagine if you have a bigger engine, it burns through more fuel.
So you might need to eat more than that little piece of whatever.
So me and the manifesting generator could do the same things in our day, and they would burn more calories doing it.
Okay.
Just by like picking up this cup, if it burns a half calorie for me, it will burn 1 calorie for a manifesting generator.
Wow.
So
Lucky.
very lucky, because it means that they should embrace their big appetite, because they're not
awesome.
But the only thing that will make them put on weight is if they over intellectualize and go, oh no, this is too much food, or I'm such a pig, or I'm whatever.
Right.
When actually it's not that at all.
Right. I'm thinking of some man-gens I know, and they can eat, and they're not fat. Funny. And I've heard them say, oh, I'm such a pig, I eat so much.
There we go. It happens to everybody, and
That's
they
so
all
funny.
think like, oh, I need to be only eating this much if I want to lose weight. Actually, what you need to be doing is aligning yourself with what your system says that it wants, and not judging that, because actually when you judge it saying I'm such a pig, that's what's going to make you put on the weight.
Isn't that interesting? That's loaded. Think about that. Like, just for the mere fact saying I'm such a pig, I'm eating so much, then you hold on to it.
Whereas actually, if you're just like, oh, I'm fueling my engine the way that it needs to be fueled, then there's nothing wrong with that. So it's really it's really so fascinating because obviously that's what the conditioning of the world has said, is like, you should only eat this much or that much, go to my body graphs. Yeah, it's just, that's super interesting. So you have both of them pointing. That's Jada. Okay.
Yeah.
So go to your one.
So how would she best eat?
So she's best eating. So see, Jada here has both
arrows.
of them pointing to the right.
Mm-hmm.
That means that she needs to not eat on a schedule, and that she's really susceptible to environments that she's eating in.
Okay.
So both.
So how do I find a library here? Is that how you go?
Mm-hmm. That's how you'll find yourself. Oh, weird.
What is it?
So
mine both go to the right.
So the right basically means that whatever you know works for you, you need to keep on doing it and you need to stick to it. So whatever it is that you do, you need to only do that.
Okay.
And then the left one is actually saying that you're actually sturdy in terms of environment. So maybe what it is you're open emotional.
Because, and I'm specific, it's not with everyone, it's with one manifestor in particular.
No.
It's not with everyone, it's
that's really interesting.
Fast eating.
Yes. Well, no,
It's
that's to do with
eating.
this. That's not the environment. This is, so we'll talk about how the other types are supposed to interact.
So
and
you
how
guys
they
can
eat.
see these arrows, that's what you're looking for. So when they go to the
When
left,
they go
like
to the
mine,
left, it's much more
consistency, and I'm not so affected
Not
by
so
other
affected.
people.
Not so
Fascinating.
affected.
So it's my open emotional chakra.
Yes, that's taking in emotion. But this one, so we'll get to projectors and manifestors. If you have the open sacral, you're so projectors and manifestors, you're really easily thrown by other people's desires.
So no matter where your arrows are pointing, if you're easily thrown by their desires.
So I'll give you an example. If
Are
I'm
we up
picking
to
out,
them yet?
no,
Okay.
but if I'm picking out
Mhm.
and you have an open sacral, you're susceptible to my desires, so you'll probably end up picking out more.
Yeah.
Or if I'm restricting myself, you'll probably end up restricting yourself more. Because anyone with an open sacral, which is basically manifestors, projectors, reflectors, take on the desires of people around them.
Yeah, that's just so true of what's been going on. So we'll touch about that in projectors, because I can give you guys insight into projectorhood. That's can Jenna.
Yes.
So, okay.
So manifesting generators, honoring the real appetite and not judging it, the most important thing.
Honoring the real appetite and not judging it. Beautiful.
Because the judgment is the thing that's going to like inform your body, you know, oh, I'm such a pig, I'm going to put on weight. The body goes, okay, sure, I'll put on weight.
Right. Okay, piggy.
Yeah.
Okay, piggy. Meanwhile, if you said, I am a manifesting generator, I can eat what I want, I'm going to burn it off. That is such a great message to send. I love it.
They have really fast metabolisms, and that just is the way that it is. So they're lucky. Now, projectors, on the other hand, don't have such fast metabolisms. So what's really important for projectors is that they can't eat like, you know, a big meal in one go, because that's just too much for the fact that they're non-energy beings, the fact that they don't have their own engine. They can't sit down to this like meal, this occasion of a meal in the same way that other people can, because it's too draining on your energy, and it's much more nourishing to your system to have little meals through the day. So, you know, you speak to this super well because you do that and you honor that. You are much more of a grazer, and all projectors should be grazers.
I want us to sit back on the sofa because we have good streaming now. Come with me.
Okay.
Because it's just weird sitting on the floor. I'm just squirming. So, wow, Jenna, that's so cool. So, keep going, and then at the end, I'll give you what happened and how this is so helping me. So, thank you.
So, as a projector, because you don't produce your own energy, you can't put in too much dense energy in one go.
Right.
Which means you can't overload yourself with information too much.
Right.
You can't expose yourself to too much stimulus.
Too much information, too much stimulus,
too much food.
Too much food.
It's like you want to snack through life, energy-wise too. You know, it's like you just want to have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Next time you get hungry, have a little more, even if it's like an hour later.
Do you know that's so cool? Like, my friend Vicky would come over, and she would like open up the freezer back in the day when I used to have ice cream, and she'd be like, this ice cream was here when I visited 6 months ago, Dara. Like, I'll go and I'll take in, and now it's vegan ice cream, but I could have the same pint of ice cream in there for like months, and I'll just take a bite and put it back. I'll have a bar of chocolate and I take a nibble and I put it back. It's not because it's just because I just need a little bit, and that thing could last forever. So my boyfriend, who's a manifestor, eats it all. So I found I'm like, oh, if I don't eat like match him.
Mhm.
I feel like matching him because then there's not going to be any. And
Right.
it's just, so it's like,
it's running out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, and I have to explain to him, I'm like, that box of crackers or whatever it is would be in here forever. So whenever I wanted some, it would be, I could go in and get a little bit.
Yes,
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is a thing. Food's a thing in relationships.
Yes,
like,
it's
let's
huge.
say that it's a huge thing with your own self. Really, there's so much psychology around it. Now we know there's so much human design around it. So if you live alone, it's easy.
Yeah.
But when you're living with someone or spending a lot of time with them, what they eat, you're on the same wavelength or you're not. Thank goodness the two of us eat the same kinds of food.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is just energy around food, speed of eating, amount of eating, and
so many things that go into it.
Yeah, so it's very fascinating.
And the other thing is that just outside of our relationship, the fact that food is seen as such a social thing, there's so many expectations on everyone needs to eat dinner at the same time, and we make plans to eat at the same time. But it just doesn't allow so much room for like, when's your natural appetite? When are you next hungry? How are you supposed to eat?
Yeah, I never make plans for dinner. I never make dinner dates.
It's really difficult. And so
I used to. Yeah.
So with generators and manifesting generators, they know when is enough. So it's very easy for you to tap into that enough is enough thing. And it might be that you are someone, like with Dara, but you'll go around it in a different way, that you'll just need a few bites and that's enough for you. So it's really about paying attention. If you have a generator, make the best use of that generator and allow it to tell you what it wants and when it's had enough.
Right.
It's so important. Manifesting generators, like I said, they have a really fast metabolism, so starting to honor that. Now, projectors, like we said, they have to snack and they have to have little and often rather than like these big meals. So if you want to eat 6-7 times a day, like you say, permission granted, like it's okay to do that because that's very nourishing.
Snacks in your purse, snacks in your bed, go to the refrigerator, take a bite of your no bean hummus. Like that's how I eat.
Yeah. And the thing about projectors is that they're very, very susceptible to other people's desires, like I said. So if you're a projector and you're having dinner with a bunch of generators and they all order the same thing, it's very easy to get taken out of what your real desires are because you've taken on other people's desires around you. So let's say if everyone else is ordering a burger, then you might feel bad ordering your usual things. So if you're not living as your properly unconditioned self, you might go, well, I'll have the vegan mac and cheese just because you want to partake in like the pigging out. Even if you're not going to have the burger, you might be like, oh, I want
if you were by yourself, you may have had the kale salad.
Yes.
Totally.
So it really is about saying, trying to separate what you feel like and understanding that that's coming from the outside world and not going into that so much. Like always question what it is when you're around other people. Question what it is that's causing you to eat that certain way, like too fast or too much or something out of your normal thing that you like.
Almost like there's a feeling of there's not enough. When somebody eats a lot around me and they eat quickly, I'm like, do they feel like there's not enough? And then I feel that anxiety.
That's interesting.
I always think when somebody eats fast, they're eating so fast because maybe they had siblings that would eat it if they didn't eat it quickly. Like I've heard that, and I didn't have that. I used to, when I was little, they used to try and make me finish all my food on my plate.
Wow.
And then my mom felt bad for me. She's a projector, and she would like move it on my plate to make it look like I ate more. Yeah.
Well, so parents who have kids, this is a really good way to help train them into the right thing for them. Like, don't make your kids finish their plate if they don't want. And if they want second helpings, give them second helpings. Try and pay attention to, because kids already know how they're supposed to fuel themselves and nourish themselves. So instead of like taking them out of that and having them spend their lifetimes potentially trying to find their way back to that, just help them keep it.
Right. What if you have a manifesting generator and you're a projector and you're like, oh my God, my kid's eating a lot, they're going to have a weight. And then if you would all give them any inclination that what they're doing is going to put on weight for them, it will. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to pull back your notion, because you're you and they're them, and say, you burn energy. You burn energy so well, lucky.
So lucky.
Yeah,
right.
Or like, that's so great. Like, I know you're going to burn off everything, eat what you need. It's so accepting and tolerant and loving.
Beautiful. Yeah. And the other thing about projectors is that, and obviously everyone ideally is meant to be eating healthy food, but projectors are the ones that unhealthy food affects the most. So they get too thrown by the same thing. So let's say, for example, you're a man gen, unless you're like a super tapped in, super cleaned up man gen who's been eating healthy for years and years, you can kind of tolerate a drink or a whatever in a different way than, for example, with a projector, because they are such light beings. Those kind of discrepancies really mess them up more than other people. So if you're a projector and you're kind of like hating that, you know, things affect you too much, or you can't do caffeine, or you can't do wine or whatever, like that's just the way that it is. Like, I can't give you any solution for that. That's just the way
that's just the way that it is.
Yeah.
I'm so sensitive. In all those years of doing, I was almost 100% raw for 10 years, and I really felt my best. And I may go back mostly raw, but I would say I'm a good high percentage raw. But the thing but I've noticed I've not been feeling as great as when I'm eating.
Really?
Yeah, like I know I can take it up a notch. And now that I have this information and I'm looking back on this past year of relationship, I'm like, okay, now I see what's happened. I've kind of veered energetically towards that way, and I can pull it on back and do my thing. So it's empowering, embodying.
Yes.
No, it's really amazing information. I thank you for that Instagram post. I was like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You know?
But manifestors do eat really fast, because all the manifestors I know, they eat really fast.
They do.
Too. And there's nothing wrong with that. They're quick people. They are the quickest people. They're like, when they decide they want to do something, they're out the door. If they're living their design, like, that's it. Done, you know? So it's like, with manifestors, because even just by being who they are, things move around them. Of course, when you eat, that's it. Like, you want it, that's it. It's like yesterday. Come on.
It's like, why not take a big bite? Like, what do you mean? Like, what am I having, little bites? I'm like,
yeah.
Little bites are the...
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
I love knowing about other people, because then it just makes you go, oh, that's what's going on. It's so cool.
Rather than judging like, oh, they're wrong, or I'm right,
or
because we
feeling
can't
like you have to leave.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Or feeling like, oh my God, this is just not compatible. But really, in truth is, we're all different. So it's just understanding what the differences are. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then with manifestors, they have it's almost like a reverse thing with them, because they're manifestors, and they basically are the ones that create, like initiate, make things happen without even trying, basically. With them, the best way for them to eat is actually to decide how the food is going to affect them before they even eat the food. So instead of thinking about how you eat the food, or what's your metabolism, or how often you should snack, it's like, I'm gonna, like, almost like, the food's not going to have power over me, I'm going to have power over the food. So it's almost like you want to be this, like,
that's beautiful,
making a magic spell over the food before you take it in.
Yeah,
you
like,
say, this one's going to make me...
you're manifesting how the food's going to react in your body. Right. This is going to give me energy for the run. This is going to make me very happy. This is going to, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's really...
So if you can do that and believe that you're not doing it in just a fake way, like, oh, I'm looking at this pie and it's going to make me healthy. Like, if you don't believe it, then that's not going to work.
If you really believe it, like, this pie was made with love, and I'm going to have the love that's in this pie, and I'm so lucky, I'm a manifestor, I get to, you know, whatever, you got that. I love that.
Yeah.
And we know manifestors can do that. I know. I know they can do that.
Yes. And, you know, they are fast eaters, but that's, you know, they're just fast people. So that's the way that they're going to do it. However, manifestors have the same thing that projectors have, which is the open sacral. And what that means is they're also prone to taking in what other people desire.
I didn't The door keeps opening.
So anyone with that open sacral just has to watch for however they might be influenced by other people's eating habits. So I'll give you an example. Even, you know, my sister who's a manifestor, if everyone else is going all out around her, she'll find herself more prone to doing the same thing. But actually, as a manifestor, she should really be setting her own tone and doing her own thing.
Going out, like going out at night, going out.
You know, going all out, like deciding to have something piggish on a Friday night or whatever. Instead, she has to go, you know what, I just don't feel like doing that today, or that's just not my vibe. So it's important to manifestors to remember that you set the tone with the food, and the food doesn't set the tone with you, and not other people set the tone with you.
And other people don't set the tone.
Yes.
But projectors, other people set the tone.
Projectors, other people set the tone. You just have to go, this is my barrier, this is what you guys are doing, and this is what I feel like doing, and I need to bring myself back to this.
Yeah, and I've done that since I knew. Like, now I just go, oh, I'm going to eat a quarter of what I ordered. You can have the rest. And he's happy with that. And
Yeah.
I have a little bit, so it's like I'm snacking.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
But obviously then that's one thing if you're all living in isolation, but like we said, you know, when you mix people together, that's a whole different thing.
It could be on an airplane, it could be at a restaurant, it could be with friends.
Yeah. And the way you eat with your family or the people that you live with, that's, you know, where you see it the most, you know, thrown off, or you're not living as your real self because that conditioning is being allowed to come in, you know, to you.
So much conditioning around food.
Yeah, so
people,
much.
it's like wild how much psychological attachments and societal attachments and family of origin conditioning comes in around food.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's pretty wild, like the things I've heard throughout the years.
Imagine a family of 5 people, like, why would you think that out of those 5 people they would all eat? There can't be one ideal way that they just all happen to have for them to eat. That's just logistically
and yet
impossible.
there's usually one person judging the situation. If a mother's feeding their children all different ways, they're like, look at her catering to her children, which is
oh yeah,
I've heard that before. Like, just eat the food.
Yeah. Were you a slow eater as a child? Because I was too, and I never ever got to finish my plate. In all projectors, like, they're just, because they move through the world slowly. And just to clarify, slowly doesn't mean not successful. Slowly doesn't mean anything. Just means you move through the world slowly, without any judgments that you might be making about moving through the world faster, better than slower, or slower, better than faster, whatever. Like, projectors are just slower people, and so naturally that's going to leak into every way that you do everything, and including eating. Manifestors are just fast people, so that's
and
it.
yet we're really efficient though, so we're fast at some things, right? Like,
so it's like as a projector, if you're trying to get something done, you could easily do it in 2 hours instead of over the whole day, because
so that's fast.
you see what to save. It's basically like, if you have so little energy, you have to make sure that you have this, like, life has given you the skills to be able to know what to not waste it on. Basically.
Right. We become that's
it's
a
efficient.
very good way to put it. It's efficient because we need it to be efficient. I've always been aware that I have just so much energy.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've always been, I'm like, I won't have the energy for that. I'll have the energy for this. And that makes so much sense why we would do things so efficiently, because we're energy saving. We're like natural energy savers.
Yeah, it's like we're on like screensaver or whatever that's called. You know, like our system is on lockdown or whatever. So, and then with reflectors, because I know there's probably maybe a few that will tune into this.
No, let's not forget about the reflectors, even though they're only like, what, 5%?
1%.
1%.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
I know.
Oh.
So with reflectors, basically their health is their health is decided by the health of the environment in which they're in, the health of their tribe, the health of their people. So every reflector, you know, it matters much less what you're eating and how you're choosing to fuel yourself, and much more about, you know, if you're in a healthy environment of people. So like, if you're around a family, if you're in your family and you're growing up and your family all have weird issues with food and whatever, like, unfortunately, if you're a reflector, that's going to affect your health. That's just the way that it is. So they're so affected by the health of everyone else around them, because they're kind of like the average of everyone they spend that, you know, that saying of like, you are the average of the people that you spend your time around. That's so true for reflectors, because they literally are just decided by the average or the mean of everyone else that they're exposed to. So, you know, with them, like projectors, it's important that they eat really, really healthy, because they're just too easily affected by small discrepancies here and there. But there's the added factor of like, you know, if you want to feel better, change your environment, change the people that you're hanging around with, and maybe try and help them with their eating habits, rather than always think that there's something you need to do internally.
Right.
Maybe hold up that mirror for the people around you and say, like, maybe you're not, you know, whatever it is, and that kind of stuff. So it's really fascinating, because it's not really about you as a reflector, it's about the other.
Right. And similar to projector, or?
Similar to projectors in the sense that they're light beings, they're non-energy beings, so they can't afford to, you know, eat too much at any given time, and they also should be eating, you know, on the definitely like healthier side, because, you know, unhealthy foods, unnatural foods will affect them so much more.
So what I was saying, when I was raw, I would say to people, this isn't for everyone. Like, this is the way I need to eat. This is good for my type. Before I was even talking about, I'd be like, this is good for my type. I can't speak for all of you, but I know this works for me.
That's really interesting. Yeah. And you might be a projector where what works for you is eating, you know, not raw, but something else that's another super healthy plan or whatever.
Right, it doesn't have to be raw.
Figure out what that is.
No, clean or healthy or light or times of day or so with the consistency thing. Back to the arrows. So does both of my arrows pointing to the left mean that a certain time is good or not good?
It means that whenever you figure out what your kind of like day routine is, so like for you, I know, so I'm not going to ask, like I know you like tonic in the morning, then maybe a little breakfast, but maybe not, like a little snacky at lunch, maybe another tonic in the afternoon, and then like, you know, just grazing. So you kind of know like, okay, this is the time I kind of start eating, this is the kind of time I don't. I kind of go with the flow, but that's that. And then with the other arrow, the bottom arrow, the environment arrow, is very much like you creating your environment for your food, not being as susceptible to the environment affecting you. Now that doesn't mean the other things from the environment don't affect you, which is where which is why you can't look at one thing in human design, and I can't stress this enough. You can't look at one thing and assess this means this for everybody, because it doesn't, because you have that bottom arrow in conjunction with open emotions and the open sacral and being a projector. So that's going to mean something totally different to a
You can't just go by the arrow. It's kind of like in astrology. You can't just go by your sun sign and your moon sign. Where's the sun? Oh, the sun is in your 5th house. Oh, Saturn. You know, like it's so complicated. We're these beautiful, complicated beings, and the more you know, the more you get to dial yourself in to what works for you.
Exactly.
And the more you get to shed whatever doesn't work for you, and that's the beauty of it.
Yes, that's exactly it. And so also what's really important is understanding what other people are, because when it comes to food, this is one of the most important areas where you have to kind of know who you're surrounding yourself by, you know. So I'll give an example. Me and my best friend are both projectors, and when we would be living our not self, let's say, before we both got healthy or whatever, because we both have that open sacral, it would be very easy for us to bounce between each other, this kind of like need for more, or maybe I'm not the one maybe there's something wrong with me, so I need to this and that. And now I can see it that obviously, because I'm not living according, like I'm living according to my design, you know, there isn't that anymore where I know what I need at any given moment, and I don't kind of bow to her, and as a result she doesn't even bow to me because there's no opening in that.
So what did you used to do before? Like, what's an example?
So before that, we would kind of like overly schedule things, or overly bow to each other, or ask each other what each other wanted. You know, when you're being polite and you're in your early 20s and you're like, okay, well, let's do lunch this. No, I don't mind. Okay, whatever time you want, and I'll go wherever you feel like going. And actually, no. Like, I should know that I'm much better off as a snacker, and sure, I'll go sit down at any time she wants me to sit down, and so should she. But if neither of us are hungry, then we'll just postpone it, or we'll back half of it for later, or whatever.
It's not that hard, fast, let's meet for lunch, let's do lunch. You don't have to do lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
Or you could have 3 mini lunches over the course of 5 hours.
You can still hang out and go grab a little here, and then go grab a little there.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
This has been such great information. We finally got to do this.
I know.
Because there's different ways that the different types eat or ought to eat. There's different ways that they are in love and relationships. There are different ways that they are in sex in their relationships and love. And there's different ways they can work, right? Working and career.
Sleep.
And sleeping. So maybe we'll end this one now. We'll take a break. And we can come back when we are rebooted.
Amazing. We need our rest now.
Thank you, honey. That was so good.
And if anyone has questions, just post them below and we'll answer some specifics.
Please post your questions, because all these ones that went running through the video, we can't see when the video's done. So leave us comments. Please tell us your website. So if you want human design reading and to dial in, because it's complicated looking, don't get scared. When you go to mybodygraph.com, Jenna can make sense of it for you and with you.
So it's just jennazoe.com, JENNAZOE.com.
How perfect.
And
how efficient.
We have, and you can book, you can find out some more information there, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Yay, Jenna. Thank you so much. I loved it.
This was so much fun.
So loved it. So great. Let's eat.